you again to the Latam Digital Talent Summit. As you know, my name is Melissa, and I'll be hosting this event. Today we have the presence of our CEO, or Chief of Happiness, as he's called, Bernardo. Maybe most of you already know him. And for the ones who don't know him yet, well, Bernardo has a long experience. He's been an entrepreneur for over 14 years, so that's quite a long time. He's been working for over a decade in London in some of the largest digital creative companies like DDB London, Sapient Nitro, Agency Republic. Also, he has worked with really great brands as Yahoo, Coca-Cola, and Nissan. And of course, he is the founder of The Bridge, which is the company that is trying to build, or actually it's not trying, but it's building these bridges between amazing talent and great opportunities worldwide. So Bernardo, welcome. Thank you for accepting to share some of your experience with us, with everyone. I think you are the best person to address the topic of the talk, which is talent as a key strategy. So we start when you're ready.
Thank you, Melissa. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. Happy to share with you some learnings and insights of our journey here with some clients. So this is a strategic talk where I'm going to share what we have learned along the time about some research as well that we've been doing when it comes to talent strategy. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Please, can you confirm you can see that, Melissa?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Great. So we are going to talk about a few topics, but first of all, may I remind you that when we are dealing with people, remember, you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but creatures of emotion, right? So we are not robots. We are not software tools. We are people. So bear in mind that everything you do would always have an emotional impact on other people, whether they are your bosses, your clients, your customers, or your colleagues. So the slides will be in Portuguese, so that most of you can, from Brazil, that perhaps not so confident with English, you can read in Portuguese, but I will be presenting in English. This is a short talk, it's 30 minutes only, and I have a lot to cover here. So I'm going to be quite fast. If you have any questions, just write on the chat, and then we will have 15 minutes at the end. Hopefully, I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible for you to ask some questions, okay? So we're going to talk about the main challenges for engagement and organizational development of people. We're going to talk about engagement in productivity of your team, onboarding, which is a really key factor of success for you to be able to ensure that employees have a great experience and they actually stay after you have hired them. Third, we're going to talk about organizational development. As I say, one of the overarching topics that we will be talking about here that touches pretty much every aspect of the business. And then we're going to go into some case studies, right? Some real case studies like Netflix, Spotify, and Nubank. How do they do it? Yeah, because we don't want to talk about just theory. We want to share with you some real strategies and tactics that these really cool companies use today. All right. And finally, a quick insights of the industry of the future who have been drafted by McKinsey. So hopefully I can squeeze everything in half an hour. Bear with me. I will do my best. All right. No rehearsals. This is full live. And this will be recorded after, so you can take your time and watch it later if you want to watch it again and again, or if you want to share with someone. All will be shared in our social media and will be shared with you for watching later. All right. So the briefing here This is actually a market research about how we can identify the key insights of the industry to support you on your strategic planning for retention, developing your team, and organizing your talent strategy, so your organizational strategy. So how can you engage employees and develop the capacities of people so that it can impact your business, right? The title of this talk is How Talent Can Be a Key Strategy to Impacting Your Business Results. Yeah. So us as CEOs or business owners or managers, we need to look at talent as people, but obviously we need to connect our talent strategy with business results. Otherwise, you're never going to get the budget that you need to develop your talents, right? So you need to convince the leaders of the organization to actually give you money so that you can develop your talents, right? And that so that you can invest in them. And for you to do that, you need to connect talent with business results. So let's do it. So the key challenges that we have found are retention, engagement for productivity, and the development of people in the organizations. How can we do it? Well, as we know, there is a huge challenge for attracting talent these days, especially in the digital industry, right? And you want to be able to be productive and be effective, also not just in attracting the talent, but also into training your leadership who are in the front line of the business, right? So that they can attract those talents that are really restless, they are creative, and they are decided. Digital talent today are very much empowered when it comes to their careers because they are having a lot of opportunities. So you need to be very smart when it comes to attracting those talents. At the bottom of the slides, at the bottom of every slide, there are the references of the data where it comes from that we are mentioning here in this presentation. So you will have access to that later as well. All right. So following on, I mean, we know that it's a hard task, right? It's not easy. We're all struggling to find good talent. And we're all struggling as leaders, obviously, to unlock innovation, engage people, and to be productive at the same time. But it's not impossible, guys and girls. Have faith and stick with me because I'm going to help you on the journey. So what we're really looking to do is to create immersive experiences, all right? We want people to collaborate in your team, and you want to create an environment that is rich and gratifying to your staff, allowing them to surpass their own limitations, right, in new ways and exciting ways. Yes, they don't want to be able to just overcome their troubles by working overnight or studying papers and reading thousands of reports. They want to be able to overcome their challenges in fun, engaging, and collaborative ways. They want to learn with their peers. They want to learn from you, leaders, and from each other in a cool, creative, and immersive environment, all right? So there's no point just giving them thousands of documents to read and say, hey, you need to learn this, all right? So we need to give them the environment, the tools, and the content and the situation so that they can actually get those results in an engagement way, all right? So talking about engagement and productivity, this Gallup research says that a lot of people have negative perceptions of companies a lot of the time simply because they don't know the business, right? Maybe they heard about it. Maybe they read a bad review. Maybe they just hear it on the news, but they don't really have a proper in-depth knowledge of your business, your company. Maybe your company is not so sexy. Maybe it's an oil company. Maybe it's a toilet paper company, right? So you say, how can I fight with companies like Nubank and Google for the talent? Well, maybe you can show a different side of you that people don't know about it yet, okay? So 7 in 10 people really today are actually not engaged with their work, which is really bad news. And that could mean a loss of billions of dollars per year in productivity, right? So engagement is the key word. We talk a lot about engagement of consumers, of social media followers, but we need to be really observing the engagement of our staff as well, right? So not just how if they are taking part on the meetings, but more than that, we want to make sure that they are actually participating, right, with the business strategy, with the goals, with the objectives, with the initiatives, with the projects, with the innovation of your company. Yes, you don't want just the innovation department to be innovating, right? You need all of the departments to be innovating. You need the HR to be innovating. You need operations. You need financial to be innovating, not just the innovation partner, the innovation department. So that is what we mean by being engaged, right? We want people to be engaged in the future of the company. So a lot of people are also not really satisfied with their boss. Big news there, right? We all know that most people are not satisfied about their boss. They're demotivated, right? Because of the way that they are being managed. So let's look at ways that we can help that. Okay, as we know, the old culture, the old phrase, people don't leave jobs, they leave toxic work cultures, or they leave their boss, right? So a lot of the times they love the company, but they hate their boss, right? I'm not the perfect boss. I have a lot of failures and things to improve. And it's great to do a presentation like this because it reminds me of my shortcomings and the things that I need to improve also as a leader. All right. But where is the first step? Okay. So where do we start with this? So, well, the employee, just like the customer, the employee also has a journey, right? They start onboarding in your company, right? So when they first get to know the country, the first impression is really important. So think about when you take that lovely girl or guy on a date, right? What do you do on the first day? You put on your best clothes, you brush your teeth, you put your best perfume or your aftershave, right? You read the news to bring in some cool stories. You try to put your best foot forward, right? So when your company is doing that, then they need to do the same thing. First impressions count. So make sure you invest on your onboarding. And then people want to be challenged. They don't want to be given one task repetitive to do for a whole month. Yeah. Even though they might be on an internship, give them different things to do. Make sure that they talk to different people. Yes. Let them take part in different meetings. Don't get them stuck in one little square hole and then they can't do anything else. All right. Give them freedom to explore in the company. That's a great way to get them to be challenged. Give them different jobs, different things to do, challenging things to do, and also some simpler things to do on the day-to-day as well, all right? Especially the junior people. Well, then they start getting to the peak performance. Imagine that this person is doing great, so they are developing, they're getting new ideas, they're performing, fantastic. But after that, they start falling into their routines. So you need to be aware of that. What happens to someone after 3 months, 6 months? Are they getting bored? All right. And let's change the bottom here, not years, but months. All right. This has changed. This is not years, this is months we're talking about, right? So ignore that line here at the bottom. That's a mistake. And then basically this is what you need to do. You need to observe the journey of this person, right? And then at some point they're going to say, well, is that all that is to it? So after 7 months they're getting bored already. This is the reality, guys. No one's going to stay 5 years in your company anymore. I'm sorry. If they stay more than 1 year, it's already a great achievement, especially when it comes to digital. Yeah. So make sure that you are observing their journey. You don't expect that they just go in, are happy and go out. It's not as simple as that. All right. So going into a bit more detail here when it comes to journey, right? So you need to consider, first of all, the culture of the company, the employee experience. Then you need to consider how the operations are impacting the ways of working of the company, all right? And what is coming up in terms of the future of work. So within future work, you can think of remote working, of course, right? the way that people are structuring their teams and etc. And finally, the platforms. How can platforms help you? For example, we use Facebook Workplace here, and it's a huge improvement compared to WhatsApp. It was a nightmare trying to organize WhatsApp, our personal WhatsApp, with our business WhatsApp, right? So it was a mess. So we brought in that sort of platform that really helped communication. So consider that also in your strategy. All right. So when it comes to employee experience, really, you need to consider how you're doing your recruitment, if it's a humanized recruitment, if it's diverse. Maybe you can try using blind recruitment, so you could get the curriculums like we sent to some clients where they can't see if the person is a man, is a woman, if they're black, if they're white, etc. They can only see their experience. All right. How you doing your onboarding, how you doing the training, how you're developing people, and obviously even how you are letting people go. So the way that you let people go tells a lot about your business. So you need to take that into account as well. So the full journey of the employee needs to be considered so that you can design the experience of this person. All right. The experience needs to be designed. It's not going to happen by itself. So we already talked a little bit about onboarding. I'm going to go quickly through this. It's really important because, look, 69% of people have a bigger chance to stay in your company for up to 3 years if they have a good onboarding process. And that's just one quick piece of data there. So make sure you invest on your onboarding. All right. So let's keep going. In terms of onboarding, you have the 4 C's: conformity, compliance, culture, clarification, and connection. So here, what we want to do is, obviously, we want to make sure that the person is aware of what is going on in the company, what are the regulations, what are the legals, the politics, the important stuff, right? Otherwise, they might screw up and they might actually make a big mistake right at the beginning. Clarification, so you need to have really clear processes, organization, who's who does what do they need to do, what is their role, etc. What is the culture of the company? Do you have it written down somewhere? Do you have a presentation of the culture so that they understand how does it work? What are your values, right? Connections. So how are these people going to connect with each other and how they're going to connect with the organization? How are they going to communicate? Who's their line of report? How do they solve their personal and business problems? How do they ask for vacation, etc.? So these are the key points. And here's our first case study. This is really cool. I love this. Walmart is actually one of our clients, right, in Chile. And they are doing an amazing virtual reality process to train the employees. So imagine the employees cannot go to the office. They cannot go to the store. Maybe they're coming from a different country or a different state. So they actually give you a tour of the place where they're going to work with virtual reality before they go to work there on their first day. Isn't that cool? And you get to see what it's like in the factory, in the store, in the office, different places. They can have a really 360 view of the business thanks to this really cool virtual reality application. Wow, how cool is that, huh? Right, so next pillar that we're going to look here, we talked about onboarding. We're going to go into organizational development, right? How we focus on people, their roles, the systems, and the culture within their operate, okay? So basically, we are talking about the whole environment and the people and how these two interact with each other, how people interact with each other within this environment, all right? There's no magic formula, okay, for creating culture. The key is to treat your staff how you would like to be treated. So great advice there by Richard Branson for leaders, all right? So leaders are always asking Jesus, how do I create a culture, this thing that doesn't exist, It's not palpable, it's not physical, it's not a software. I can't buy one, I can't just ask someone to come here and say, create me a culture, right? And I can't buy a software for culture as a service. So normally you can buy everything these days, right? You can either pay a consultant or you can buy a piece of software. Well, guys and girls, bad news. You can't buy culture, all right? No one invented it yet. You have to create it. But how the hell do we do it? Oh, well, let's talk about that in a minute. First of all, organizational development is, well, basically, it's a lie to the change, the consistent change, right? And planning of your beliefs, your attitudes, and your values, right? So the people that work for you, for their growth and the growth of the company. So basically, uh, you're only going to be able to change the ways are done, change the ways things are done in your company if you are consistently planning the attitudes, the beliefs, and you are enforcing the values of your company to your people. For example, honesty, right? If you're honest with your staff and you demand that your staff are honest with each other, then your culture will be a culture of honesty, right? But there's no point putting on the PowerPoint that you're honest, but then when it comes to the day-to-day, you're not transparent, right? You're not honest with people when it comes to, I don't know, their compensation, for example, right? Their bonus or the way that you price your product with your clients, right? So if you're not transparent, if you're not honest, then that's not going to reflect in your culture. There's no point putting it in your PowerPoint, all right? Just an example. So let's jump into the next one. So what is the premise? Yeah, what does a CEO need to do to ensure that things are changing and that you have collaborative targets and that people are working together to the same goals that you have established, right? Well, there is a lot of, sometimes you will find that there is a lot of internal competition, right? Because people have different goals and different objectives. So you have to be aware of that. You need to have collaborative goals, right? You need to have your OKRs aligned across the business so that people are actually all are fighting for the same final purpose. So the great example from Nubank is the NPS, right? The customer NPS, the customer satisfaction is their main KPI. It's for everyone. Everyone needs to strive to achieve great customer satisfaction for Nubank. So that's easy. Everyone rows in the same direction. Anything that impacts customer satisfaction, whether it's a bad website, whether it's a problem or an operation or a system that takes too long, anything, maybe a rate of anything that impacts the customer, they will work towards destroying that sort of thing, right? In order to keep a great NPS score. So what do you need to do as a CEO? Basically, you need to change the behavior and you need to change the objectives of the company for people to work in the same direction, with the same attitudes, with the same behaviors to reach that same goal. All right, so make sure you have your clear goal, your clear objective, and make sure in your day-to-day you apply, practice what you preach, right? You apply the practice that you are establishing as your values for your culture, right? Because your culture is a structure based on your key values, whether they are honesty, whether they are speed, whether they are, I don't know, quality, delivery, etc. Right? So this is, I love this graphic. This is a really cool graphic because here we talk a little bit about your conscience in terms of the situation that you're living in with your colleagues at work regards to their culture. So for example, for us at the bridge, we have a multicultural team. So this is now a reality for all of us, right? So when it comes to culture, you can't simply impose to everyone that they need to be fast and effective and they need to be correct, right? And they need to be outgoing, because that doesn't fit with some of the people's culture in terms of their nationality, in terms of their heritage, right? So the company culture needs to take into account the heritage of people. Where do they come from, their background? So what I love here in this graphic is that you will see that each kind of nationality has different personality traits. Obviously, this is not black and white, right? This is a generalization, but you will see that the Latinos, for example, right, they tend to be very warm, very emotional, very impulsive. This is a classic thing from the Latinos, the Italians, the Spanish, right? So that's what we are. We are more impulsive, we're more emotional, right? But when you look at the Germans, of course, they are different. They are far more, let's say, they're a bit more reserved, they're a bit more cool, and they're more based on facts. So you should take advantage of these great character traits and use them for your advantage, right? To find the balance and to get the results that you want. All right. When it comes to changing your culture, changing your processes, take into account change management. There are some really cool practices. I can't go into much detail because I don't have time, but I really recommend that you look into the change management best practices for you to try to impact the way that you're managing your organizational development, right? Look at how you can make a plan to communicate your values, for example. How are you going to engage your staff to do that, right? Define what you need to do with clear KPIs, and then you start to work on embedding those changes into the culture, into the day-to-day. All right. Make sure you get individuals and the leadership involved as well from the beginning. Don't just get the leadership setting everything up, planning everything, doing the whole roadmap, and then communicate to the team. Get the team involved from the beginning into your strategy. Make them feel like they're part of the strategy. Don't impose what you have decided to them. Otherwise, they won't be so engaged with your plans. Okay? In terms of leadership, we as leaders need to be conscious. We are going through an absolutely awful time with this pandemic. So we need to be twice as caring, conscious with our team's mental states, with our team's physical states, and we need to be therefore self-aware. We need to support them emotionally. We need to look after their well-being. And please, we need to control the amount of meetings that we have on a day-to-day basis. Guys and girls, take that into account. This is a very quick one. I can't go into much detail, but a summary of what I consider a conscious leader should consider as their priorities is, first of all, be aware of the emotional currents that are affecting people, right? What is happening on the personal life as well. Make sure you get your one-on-ones on a weekly basis with them. Take into account how toxic, right, is becoming the environment around people. If there is trust, if there is alignment, if they are empowered to do what they need to do, or if they are being micromanaged by the team leads, all right? Make sure you know what people are saying and what they're not saying between the lines. So when you're talking to someone, you don't just listen to the words of what they're saying. Get the cameras on, look into their face, understand what's going on in their day-to-day, right? Try to understand really what they're trying to say behind what they're actually saying, okay? Because there's a lot behind it that you might not know, okay? So make sure you have empathy to find out what's going on behind, yeah? Finally, be close to your teams, you know? Make sure that you listen to them. Yesterday, I did a one-on-one with one of my interns. I'm the CEO of the company. Do I just do one-on-ones with the directors? No, every now and then I want to know what the interns think as well. And the guy told me that he was having a really hard time. So it was really great to hear that. And obviously I activated my team and asked them, the management team, to give this guy a bit more attention and love because he needs it. So make sure you get to the ground, get to the factory floor as well every now and then, right? And listen to what's going on. I'm going to speed through this, but this is a really, really cool. I'm just going to mention here, this is stopatnothing.com. If you're a leader and you want to look at how you can change to a conscious culture model, so you stop working in a reactive way and working in a way where you literally just putting out fire, right? So if you actually want to structure the way that you manage your culture and you develop your culture with methodology, process, and efficiency, have a look at Stop at Nothing, which is really, really cool. And they have this sort of 5 stages where you can work on a systemic approach to bring a human feel to your organization. Okay, this is really cool. So I've already mentioned what captivating leaders should do. So here in a bit more detail, they should listen, they should delegate, they should train, they should be accessible. They should actually answer the phone and answer meetings to that team as well. They should value success. They should avoid acting by impulse, and they should be vulnerable and admit their mistakes. So these are the key points that this study also reflects by ABC about what conscious leaders should do as well. Apologies, this is from inc.com. Yes, but also related to how leaders can better captivate their team and as a result obtain what we are trying to do here, people, which is obtain better engagement from your team. So if you're looking to get your team more engaged, believe me, this is what you need to do. And I love this. This is so simple. This is such a basic graphic, but I would like to print this and put it in front of my computer every day. You know, we are a lot of the time as leaders, what I feel that happens is that we skip the middle part, right? We as leaders, we are constantly trying to fight with the team, do meetings with the team, send emails to the team, and do everything to try to get them to perform, right? It's like, I'm trying to get this person to do their work faster. I'm trying to get this person to understand. I'm trying to get this person to sell or to recruit or to design or to code faster and better, but I can't get them to do it, right? Well, actually, there's one thing in the middle here that maybe you're not taking into account, right? You need to have your organizational culture, you need to have your organizational structure, and you need to have the environment where people can perform. So don't try to jump this one in the middle. Of course, sometimes you need to act directly with a particular person to solve a particular problem. But you cannot be, as a leader, every day trying to force people to perform, all right? You can't kick a turtle to make it run faster, all right? But you can put it on top of a car and then it will go faster because it has the environment, it has the tool to go faster. So you have to actually help that individual to go faster, all right? It's a terrible, terrible metaphor there with the turtle. Apologies for that, but it's the best I could come up with. Remember, I'm translating on my head here, so apologies in advance. So, Culture Code. All right, this is a great book by Daniel Coyle. I put it here on the top right. Recommend the read. And also I recommend you read the Culture Code of Netflix. So what is the Culture Code? Basically, it's a document where you define the history of the company and its plans. It's a place where you describe your products and your business model. It's a place where you show and you explain how the company works, what it makes it different, right? But most of all, like I said before, it's the collection of shared values of this company, right? And what do they expect from the employees of this company? So when someone is about to join your business, right, as an employee or even as an investor, right, or a client, anyone that's going to have anything to do with your business should be interested in reading the Culture Code, because the Culture Code, it's a book, it's a presentation, right? It's like a manifesto where you explain to people what are you all about, what are your beliefs, what is important for you. So if someone walks into Amazon, they already know the Amazon, it's absolutely obsessed with customer experience. Everyone knows that when they go into Amazon, it's a company that is proud to be frugal, right? They don't waste money. They are very different from perhaps a company, I don't know, an investment bank in Dubai who makes huge parties with champagne. It's not going to happen. That's not their core value. All right. So it's an absolutely brilliant way for you to attract people that share those values with you, right? And to make sure that people that are joining, they know what they're getting themselves into. So it's really cool to create a culture code. So as I say, one of the most famous culture codes, and this is a really old document, I believe it's from 2013, but it's still on SlideShare, and I have the link here. Apologies, you can download later. And some people say Netflix totally reinvented HR, right? Because they created this culture code that went against all of the typical culture codes in the old days, right? Of traditional companies that are very, very much structured in a pyramid where everyone needs to ask permission to their boss before they can do anything. Well, Netflix goes completely against that. And it says, look, you need to be the best at what you do. You need to take risks. You need to be independent. We want you to be able to make your own decisions, and you need to do that fast, right? And these are some of the key characteristics. And it's brilliant. And obviously, Netflix is an amazing company. It's hugely successful, and of course, part of the success, it's also a result of the culture, right? So this is a classic. If you're interested in culture codes, please go and read that. Spotify, it's really strong company, obviously one of the key creators of the agile, one of the first to implement the agile process of software development. So obviously when it comes to engineering, software development culture, they are one to take a look at and learn from. So definitely have a look at that. I need to go fast because I'm running out of time. And here, Nubank. Well, it's great to show a company that is, first of all, Brazilian. So obviously we're proud to talk about Nubank. It's the biggest fintech in the world. It's about to go IPO. They have expanded now from Brazil to Mexico and to other countries. So the culture of Nubank, it's absolutely amazing. The premises is we want our clients to love us fanatically. We are hungry and we defy the system and status quo. We have the mentality of the owner. We build strong and diverse teams, and we're always looking for intelligence with efficiency. But most of all, what most people know about Nubank is how they enchant people, how they enchant their employees in their onboarding, and how they absolutely delight their customers with their client focus. So similar to Disney, they, for example, if someone loses their keys, then maybe Nubank goes and finds out and sends them a copy of their keys, right? Or loses their card, loses their credit card, and becomes a personal situation. So they actually take the time to create a written letter and send a gift personalized to that person. So it's absolutely brilliant. They really take care of people. The customer service is amazing. You always talk to a person. So very, very much innovative in the way that they give customer service, which is unlike most banks as we know, right? So Nubank, due to this amazing customer service and digital, 100% digital strategy, right? You open your account online, on your phone, you don't need to, they don't have any agencies, you don't have to go to any physical shops. So therefore, they're absolutely exploding. So great combination of culture, digital strategy there, and customer service, right? So therefore, Nubank, biggest fintech in the world, absolutely booming result there, right? So I can't go into much detail. I'm out of time, but this will be available for you later. Thank you very much. Look, remember to finalize, I love this quote by Lewis Carroll from Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, how the hell you know when are you going to get there? So you as a leader, make sure you give people the North Star, the goal, the objective of where they need to go. So in terms of Nubank, amazing customer experience, amazing support to clients. Let's make people absolutely happy. That's what my goal is as CEO of the Bridge. I'm the Chief Happiness Officer. My goal is to make people happy as well. My clients, the people that are working with me, and our beautiful bridgers that are working also in the end clients outsourcing or staffing model, right? So give yourself a goal, give your team a goal, all right, so that they know what they need to do every day when they get up. Make sure there's a purpose behind it. Make sure they're doing something that has an impact in people's lives or that has a greater good. Okay, make sure that your goal is not just to make money, because otherwise it will be very hard to motivate your team. Thank you very much for everyone who took part. I think I need to stop now. I have a
Thank you
couple
so
of
much.
minutes, but let's go
Thank
to
you
the
so much,
questions. Thank you.
Bernardo. Yes, I think we have time for two questions, and I believe this presentation really highlights the importance of culture. As you mentioned at the beginning, actually, we're like in a moment where we're fighting for talent. It's like a global fight of for talents. So, what do you think? It's like the culture has become one of the key factors for the applicants to choose which company they are gonna choose at the end of the day, because most of them, they don't only rely on how much they're going to earn or if they can work remote or not, but how the company works and if it's a perfect fit for the way they behave. So how can companies communicate, like in a really simple way at the beginning of the recruitment process, this culture?
So the best way for companies to portray the culture in an effective and clear way is to, first of all, share the culture code. If they have that as a document, that is absolutely great so that people can actually read it. And apart from that, they can show it in practice, right? So, for example, when we talk about onboarding at the Bridge, we make sure that people get a nice welcome kit, and then they get a session with our HR, even though they are remote. I don't care. I have people in Venezuela. I send them a welcome kit the same, right? It doesn't matter. They deserve a welcome kit. It's not just because I don't have an office in Venezuela that they don't deserve a welcome kit. So you can show your values and you can show your culture by applying it in real life. So put your money where your mouth is. That's the best way to show your culture, right? Show it in practice instead of talking.
Yeah, that's really important. I think it's a practice that a lot of companies are doing, like give the experience to this meeting. And I think it's coming along with the pandemic, the fact that we're talking also about like a remote culture, and some companies are really scared to embrace these remote cultures, even though we're facing like again a war for talent. So what will be your advice for companies who are still not deciding if they should hire, for example, like the best candidate in another place just to work remote? What will be the tips you will give to them, or the advice, or like how to start jumping into that world? Because it can be a really great
Sure.
opportunity, and you can find in another country like a really game changer professional that can add like a lot of value to your team.
Absolutely, Melissa. Thanks for the question. That's a really great question. The answer, I guess, would be in today's market, with the volume of companies and open jobs that keep growing every day for digital. If you only search locally, you are sabotaging your own team and your own company. You're limiting your ability to find the best, the most diverse, the most qualified talent for your team. So it's your choice. You can go and shopping for the supermarket only on the corner shop, or you can go shopping on all of the supermarkets around the world, right? So what do you want to do? Do you want to just look locally? Basically, you're limiting your ability to find the best talent. There's no more barriers these days. Of course, you can still talk about time zone, you can still talk about culture fit, and you can still talk about language, right? People need to be able to speak the language. They need to be on a reasonable time zone, so maybe 2 or 3 hours max, right? And there needs to be some sort of culture fit. I mean, it perhaps would be very hard to overnight hire 20 Chinese people for a Guatemala team, right? Might be difficult for them to adjust culturally, okay? Nothing against the Chinese or the Guatemalan, but they're just very different cultures. So the point is, what we do is when we talk about clients in North America, for example, we say the whole of Chile, Brazil, Argentina, we are just 1 hour or no hours at all difference from you. So when you talk with the Latinos, most of them these days, they speak English and they understand American culture because they've been watching American movies all their lives, all right? So hiring Latinos from America makes absolute sense, and it's probably half the cost, and they're still going to be giving them great opportunities to work with global companies, which is what they want. So it's an equation that makes absolute sense. And obviously, Latinos hiring Latinos, no brainer. So if you're in Mexico, you should hire Colombians and Chileans and Peruvians. Like we hire Melissa, she's Peruvian. Why not? And she's in Portugal, and we are in Chile, Brazil, and Mexico. So if I was just looking in Chile for a head of marketing, I would not find Melissa. And look how happy I am with Melissa today. She's here doing a great job. So do what I do and go and find people outside your country. Otherwise, you're just making your life harder.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Bernardo. I think all your talk was really insightful, and you share a lot and the importance of culture and embracing like new strategies as well to retain talent. So thank you so much. I know you have a really, really busy schedule. So thanks for sharing. And for everyone, we'll be sharing also this talk in our social media, and we will give you the links to access the talks later on through email. Thank you so much for participating, and thank you, Bernardo, again.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Cheers, everyone. Hope you like it.